Alright, good morning everybody. I'm Aaron Heiser of Maker's Leather Supply, and in this video we're going to build a roper style billfold. Wallet, whatever. I've never really understood the differential. I mean, I've had people actually correct me that, oh, it's a wallet. No, it's a billfold. Goes in your pants, hold your money and your cards. It'll work. So, alright. We, in an effort to always better ourselves and do a little bit finer work, better work, harder work, whatever, constantly playing with new ideas and things. And I'm not saying new idea like I invented it or anything, but here it is. This roper actually has the stacked card pockets, but I don't like the T-pocket design that so many do. It's really, if you get one off and then there's a space between like the top of the one card pocket and the bottom of the T, it just doesn't look as nice as it should. And so that's always been my issue with the T-pocket design, and one of the reasons I've kind of stayed away from it. Anyway, so we've got another little way that we worked on, and I mean, again, I didn't invent it. I'm quite sure there's plenty of people that do it this way. But it's a way that I've found works for me, and like I've said on a million other videos, if it works for you, then it's your way. Other than that, it's a pretty standard roper wallet. We actually have 7 card pockets on here, but in today's video, we're going to do 5 card pockets and a windowed ID card slot 2. Okay, the template set that we came out with this allows for each of those. All right, either 7 card pockets or 5 and the window. Okay, other than that, cash pocket, receipt pocket here, receipt pocket there. Other than that, it's a lot like the previous roper, except there's room for the finer details. On each of these pockets, right above my finger there, you see that little line? That's called a crease line. Okay, and there's a couple of ways to achieve such a line, but that's one of the things we've been playing with, because once again, little details like that bring out a lot of difference in a final product, and how professional it looks. Like I made this one out of gator. I have not been, in all the years I've been doing leather work, only in the last couple of months have I played with any real exotic leathers. I've done small inlays here and there. I don't really think those count. But, again, trying harder to do finer work, trying to do, it doesn't cost a lot more to make this wallet out of gator, but you can charge a lot more to your customer because it's made out of gator. I mean, think about it. Cowboy boots, regular set of custom cowboy boots can run you anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. Make that same pair of boots and use $150 worth of gator in them, and now that base price of those boots just went up $2,000 because you spent $200 more on materials. Bootmakers been doing it for years. It's time for us wallet makers and stuff like that. Alright, all that being said, we all know it's not just about the money. The love of leather is my passion. I really, really enjoy what I do here. Yeah, all that being said, this roper is a little bit different dimensions than the standard roper that we used to make, or that we still continue to make, but the one with the tape and tyvek. This one actually is completely square on the back, okay? So this measurement and this measurement are both 6.75, I think. But anyway, one of the problems I always had when I made a roper is if I wasn't paying attention, I would accidentally tool it this way. We recently had a guy on Facebook even that was complaining that his template wasn't right because it didn't line up, and I kept telling him if you just rotate it that much, it would work. But he was just out to blast us, and he bought the template from Tandy, so he was out to blast them. And anyway, he did not want to listen to the other 600 people that chimed in that were like, dude, that template works every time. You got to use it right. Can't make them all happy, can we? Whew. So, I swear that guy's related to my ex-wife. Anyway. Alright, so here we go. That's the outside piece right there, okay? And then we've got 2 choices on our inside piece. Alright. Yeah. Alright, so here's the right side. If we're using no ID card window, then the card pockets start a lot lower. here it is if we are using the pocket with the ID window right here. Either way, we're going to cut 2 of these out, but we're going to just mark lines right there. And what that is, that's where the bottoms of the card pockets will sew and glue in. I tried to make it easier so that we could do it that way, okay? So yeah, the one we'll make today, since I already have a sample here of the one without the ID card window, we're going to make the one with the ID card window, okay? Then there's the cash pocket. You may recognize it. It's exactly like the one on the other roper. And then here's our card pockets, okay? So, I'm missing a little piece. There it is. Ooh, I was about to say, if we made all those templates and we didn't put this piece in there. All right, this is the bottom card pocket, okay? If you're not using the ID card window, then this is the bottom card pocket. And then this is every other card pocket that you'll need right here. And again, not T-slots, just angles. And we'll skive an area of this. And when you look at the edges of it, it'll be nice and thin, and it'll look like one nice big piece of leather. Okay? And then here is our ID card wallet itself. Okay? And I'm not going to lie, the first 100 of these that were made, there's supposed to be a line right between, see, 4 layers of writing on it. It says the Roper 2.0 ID card pocket. Cut one from 2 to 3 ounce, skive and fold on the line. There's not a line. Okay, the line should be right there. It should be right under ID card pocket, therefore splitting the distance between right here and right here. Okay, so that's the line we're going to make, is right there, and we'll skive and fold that, but I'll explain all that when we get to the ID card pocket. Whew. A lot of talking. All right, guys. So, without further ado, we're going to switch to my overhead camera. Look how cool this thing is. Oh yeah. All right. So we'll get to that, and we'll start making this wallet. Okay. So when we put out the information on this mystery box, we said that 10 lucky people, recipients of the mystery box, would also get some exotic leather with which to make their project out of. Okay. So I'm going to make mine out of this piece of ostrich we had left over from cutting all those out. But some people got elephant. I think 1 or 2 of them even got some rhinoceros. And then we did cut out some ostrich for these too. Okay? But that's going to be one of the last things that I cut is this right here. So, what I've decided to do though is I want to line the wallet itself. When you're using a exotic like this, a lot of the time they're going to be floppy, and you know, this is not rigid or strong enough to make a wallet out of. So I'm going to line it with some 2 to 3 tan bridle, okay, and then the interior of the wallet, all the pockets and stuff, are going to be made out of this 2 to 3 ounce dark brown bridle, and I think it'll make a nice contrast. We actually had just about everybody that works at the shop looking at all the colors we had available and seeing what might look nicest. And I believe it was Doc's idea to do it this way. And it was a good idea. So, here we go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my back out of the tan, because then I can just get rid of the tan. And then I'll cut out all my pieces out of the brown. Okay? And again, I'm going to wait until the entire project is almost made to the liner before I sew the liner and the exterior piece here together, okay? And that'll help with my edges and stuff once it's all done to keep them nice and straight and pretty, okay? There will be a considerable amount of skiving on this project. I will do some of it by hand, but most of it I'm going to cheat and use the skiving machine. But I will, again, show you how to do it by hand just so that everybody knows it can be done. You don't have to have my fancy skiving machine, but it helps. I'm also, since there's no thin slots to cut for the tape and the card slots, I'm using a little bit heavier blade. I'm trying this little snap blade knife out from Olfa. Let's see what I think of it. I do love my scalpels, but sometimes the flexible blade can have adverse reactions as you're going. Alright. And I just broke my own cardinal rule of I let the daggum template move, so I'll set that aside and I'll make something else out of it later. And I'll recut this daggum thing. Okay. I'll tell you what, one thing I have found is on a lot of leathers, if you take the paper off the back, it sticks better to the leather. But if I don't want to take the paper off the back, I'll just spin the sucker over, turn it over, and build it that way. I've even seen people have taken the little rubber dots and put on the back of their templates, and it does a great job keeping them held against the leather. When I'm making little watch bands and stuff out of the template set that I'm putting together, I'll put rubber cement on the template, because then it'll stick really well to the leather after it's dry. I don't, I do it, I let it dry, then I use it to make the pieces, but it'll stick really well with that rubber cement stuck to it. Alright, so there's a good one. I'm going to take my bad one though and put it on the table behind me, because I don't want to confuse it and accidentally use it. Alright, now I'm going to cut out just a couple of pieces here on camera, then I'll stop the camera so that you're not watching 2 hours of me cutting out pieces. It won't take that long, but you know what I mean. Y'all have watched me cut out plenty of stuff if you've been following this channel for more than a day. Okay, so this is dark brown. I know it looks black, but I promise it's very dark brown. So here's my ID card pocket. All right, and I'm going to. This is going to be a challenge to cut out, but I'm going to do it. I'll start with the exterior of it. Sorry, I just now realized I'm off camera here. I need to slide all this forward for you. Alright, so I'm going to take that piece out of the middle there. Again, I'm going to turn this thing over, it'll stick better to my leather. But one way to do what I'm about to do is to take a little hole punch and do each of the 4 corners with your hole punch, then put it back on and cut your straight lines in between. And I once again moved it way too far down. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab me a hole punch. Let's see here. Find one with a good radius to it. Yeah, this is a, oh wow, 13/32. Let's find a more common size. 3/8. 3/8 hole punch I'll use in the corners here, and then I'll cut it out after that. Get my punching board, my little maul. Hopes to have a right angle sitting around that we can put these back together with when they have been moved. Okay, now I'll just use the edge of my template here to go and cut the lines in between those circles. there she be. Alright, we'll set that aside for now, and then I'll cut out the other pieces real quick. Again, I'm going to use 5 of these. Okay, and it's a very simple ordeal. I'll just cut around the exterior of it. Now, I said that, you know, you're going to use this one if you where the cards go all the way to the bottom. If you're going to not do the ID card window, we're going to do this one because we are doing the ID card window. Okay. Either way, I need to cut out 2 of these, one for the right and one for the left. But I'm only going to mark the one for the right with the card pocket, the bottoms. Okay. So I'll show you what that looks like right quick. Nicer, smoother leather up on this end. Sometimes when you get down into the belly end, it gets a little rough. Okay, so again, I'm going to end up cutting out 2 of these, but I'm just going to do one for right this second because I want to show you what I'm talking about with marking your pockets. Again, this is where the bottom of the pockets will be. And I'm just going to take a little scratch awl, put it in there, and mark. Okay. Just like that. Okay, you can see those little lines that I marked on there. Again, that's where the bottoms of the card pockets will be. And then at the very bottom down here will be the ID card pocket. Alright, so again, I'm going to pause the video and cut out the rest of these and we'll come back. Alright, got all my pieces out, cut out, that is. Okay, so let's see what all we've got here. I've got my ostrich backing that I'll use. I'm going to line it. If I'm using a 4 to 5 ounce leather or something like that, I don't need to line it. But again, this ostrich is really floppy, so I'm going to line it. Okay. On top of that, I have my card pocket, or sorry, cash pocket, my card ID window, the left side that goes behind the cash pocket, and then my right side that goes and holds all the cards. I think I have all my pieces cut out. Oh, and then I've got 6 of these cut out, the card pockets. This one I let the template slip a little bit, and then there's a fuzzy and a miscut right there. This is, you know, a penny's worth of leather. I will use it to practice my skiving and stuff like that, as opposed to trying to fix that, just because when it's got a really nice, smooth top like that, there's a lot less work to do to add it into the wallet if you're trying to make as perfect of a wallet as you can. Now, I told you we're going to skive some of these, all right? And here's what we're going to skive. I'm going to grab my silver pen here. And what I'm going to skive is about, this is a brand new silver pen, so let me find something to scribble it on for a second and get the ink flowing. There we go. Alright, this is the back of this piece, and again, it's a scrap piece regardless. But what I'm going to skive is going to be roughly that right there. Okay, maybe a ½ inch in from these sides. And when I get up here to where like the next card pocket would start, I'm going to kind of taper it off like so. Okay? So, how do you do that, Aaron? And it doesn't have to be a rounded thing here. I mean, my skive could start right there and work its way, you know, like that. But the more you can skive off, then the thinner the wallet will be. So, I've got my, this is a knife we sell, our Japanese style skiving knife, okay? And a lot of people don't use this right. A lot of them will try to go along the edge and push on it like this. Not quite, okay? I use it bevel up, and I'll slide it along and create a little cut. Okay, and as you go along, it'll actually cut more than it did in the beginning. That's kind of the tricky part, is getting it all even. And the good news is, way down here inside the card pocket, it's okay if you accidentally tear out a little bit or something like that. The real sensitive area is going to be up here on the edge where it shows. Okay? But anyway, just a real easy slicing motion. I did strop the living crap out of this thing before I started this. Okay, now I'm going to have to go back the other way because I've already cut loose on that. Okay? So, real easy. I'm not pushing on, pushing the blade. I'm just letting it do its cut. Okay? Just like that. Just keep it low, and it'll skive that sucker on out. Okay? Now, again, I tore some of it out because I'm a little out of practice. I'm not going to lie. But it doesn't matter. It's well inside the pocket, and it's not going to create any problems. So, there it is. Okay, now I'm going to do this line. Okay, now part of why I'm tearing it out is because, unfortunately, the handle on this is a little bit thick. Like the one Peter Main sells is called a paring knife, and the whole thing is just one blade. Peter Main's nice enough to wrap it in leather for you. And it's a great knife. I do like the handle on ours more because you can control it more, I feel. So when I'm worried about that, I just take it off the edge of my cutting surface so that I can get it lower. Okay? And then I don't tear out as much. Because on the bottom, I don't want to tear it out just because of the idea that I need that straight line to butt up against my drawn lines for my stitches. So there. Much, much prettier skive right there. Okay? Skiving is not fun, I'm not going to lie. I don't enjoy it. That's why I have a skiving machine. But it's not as hard as a lot of people think it can be. Okay? Now, granted, this is veg tan type leather. This is an English bridle, which starts as a veg tan. So it's got some rigidity to it. And it, so it is easier to skive than, say, a bag or chap leather or something like that. Those are more difficult because they've got a lot of stretch to them. And those, honestly, I'm not going to lie, I won't skive one without the machine. Alright, so again, I ate up the edges a little bit because I got in a hurry because I don't care because it doesn't matter. A lot of cuz there. Okay? But I'm going to do that to all of these. But again, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to run them through my little machine over there and save myself 20 minutes of time. And I'm also going to skive, this is totally optional, but I want this wallet to be as thin as it can be. Okay, on the edges. So I'm going to skive just a little bit off of 3 sides of this one. Okay, and then on this one, we've got our credit card pocket bottoms down here. I'm going to skive these 3 sides because that's where it'll be sewn to the backing of the wallet. Okay, just these 3 sides. Not if you're holding it with the bottoms of the cards pointed towards you. You don't want to skive that left side. That's a naked edge. Okay, you just want to skive the top, the bottom, and the right side if you're doing it. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do right quick is I'm going to rough cut my backing just slightly larger than my template, and then I'm going to skive the edges of it so that when I glue my interior to it to sew, then all the edges will be skived, even if I have to trim them a little bit further. So I'm going to cut them 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch oversize. A leather this floppy, I really should be using my like a rotary cutter or something like that, but that's not what I had in my hand. And I'm lazy like that. I'm gonna grab it. Even the rotary cutter has a little bit of trouble with the quills, which it also is a very dull rotary cutter. I'm sure if it was sharper, it wouldn't have that issue. I'm gonna have to find me a scrap of ostrich somewhere because I've never skived ostrich. I know it works, but I'm gonna have to set up the skiver for it. So. Okay, so there's my outside piece trimmed down to where I can use it. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna stop the camera. When I come back, we're gonna talk about creasing those pockets. Okay. All right, so real quick, we're going to talk about this creasing machine. Okay, this is a machine that I personally am just starting to play with these. I really like it so far. Like I made my personal wallet here out of some alligator and stuff, and I creased the pockets of it. Kind of hard to see. I actually creased them with a wing divider, which is how I usually used to do it. And that's all good and great when you're just using veg tan or bridle type leathers, things like that. You can usually do that with the wing divider and just, draw a line on the leather basically. But when you're using exotics and finished leathers that are not so impressionable as a bridle or a, man, I'm having a hard time today. As a bridle or a veg tan or something, you got to find a different way to leave a mark on it. Okay, so I bought one of these. It was actually a single cord. I decided I wanted the double cord, so I upgraded and put my single cord one over there as a demo for the shop. But anyway, we're going to start carrying the single handle ones of these. We've got a couple in stock right now. We just don't have them on the website yet. We only have a few tips for it, okay? Like I've got a whole collection of tips up here. I haven't even experimented with all of them to see what they all do. I just told them send me one of each so I could decide which ones I like the most and which ones I think were the most necessary. And that way those can be the ones that we regularly stock more of. So, that being said, I've got this thing turned on. I'm waiting on it to heat up here. And then I'm going to crease my little practice one that I butchered up in front of y'all and kind of show you how that's done. Okay, and I'm just going to crease the tops of all these card pockets is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to get my camera back down to my workspace here. Check and see how warm this thing is. Okay, and I'm not doing it on my cutting board because it'll melt it if it's hot enough, all right? But how this works, this thing has a little, basically a little groove and two lines on it, okay? And you put one line on the edge of your leather and the other one creates the crease. You just rub it back and forth a little bit, get it on there good, get it pretty, get it bold as you want it at least. But there you go. Again, it's the smallest of details, but every little detail grows up to be, they all get put together to make a big deal, all right? So I'm going to do all of my pockets that way, but I'm also going to show you the other creasers we're going to start carrying. Okay, and it's a manual creaser. We'll have these in a couple of different widths, but basically you heat these up with an alcohol lamp. I will do a video on that too. I also am going to have the alcohol lamps. They're very easy to use. They look a little bit sketchy, but I've messed with them quite a bit already, just playing with them, and they're very safe to use. But same practice. You're going to put one side on the edge of the leather once it's warm, and you'll rub it back and forth. Going around corners is possible, but you have to kind of tilt the edge up and do it on the back or the front corner, the toe or the heel. But again, a much cheaper alternative than the electric creaser. The electric creasers can get expensive once you start adding tips and all that stuff. These will be a more economical way to do it. Plus, honestly, like, you don't need electricity. You don't need a plug by your desk and stuff like that. So both are great, great ways of doing it. But, you know, everybody has their own favorite. And I like the convenience of the electric one. I turn it on, I turn it off. But, like at my house, I don't have an electric one. I have my little alcohol lamp and my manual ones, and I do it that way there, just for the convenience of it. Okay? All right. So, I still haven't done all my skiving I talked about, because I wanted to talk about that first. So I'm going to stop the video, I'm going to crease the rest of my pockets, and then I'm going to do my skiving. Alright, so we're back. Everything is skived down and everything. Put a little piece of blue tape down here, you can see the writing on it. To remind me to keep it above that line to stay on camera when I'm on my overhead camera here. Alright, so just a real quick recap. We have our creased pocket pieces here. They've all been skived on the backs. Okay. I even went around the curvature of the cash pocket and creased it. It was a little bit more difficult because I haven't done many curves. Again, this creasing thing is new to me, this machine is. And so I'm really liking it though, and like I said, we're going to carry a few of them in stock, not too many. This is the piece that goes behind here, like that. And then also, remember when we talked about this piece, we had to pretend there was a line in between the second and third line of writing here. So we need to skive that down so that we can fold that area over. So even if you don't skive all the rest of this, you still will want to skive this area. Because what's going to happen, we're going to put our card pocket in there, our clear window, okay? And that will actually fold over the edge of the plastic so that you don't catch that plastic when you're putting a card in there, okay? And that's what that's for. So when we stitch this, we're going to have to stitch it twice. Once to get the clear into the thing, and then once again to stitch it onto the wallet itself. Okay, and I'm even going to use two different colors of thread, but yeah. So let's talk about the clear card pocket. Okay, now this right here, if you go to like Hobby Lobby or a fabric store that has lots of fabrics, Joann's, Michael's, something like that, go in the back where they have the big rolls of upholstery fabrics and things like that. And generally they'll have a nice big roll of this plastic. It's good and thick. It's soft and pliable, like it doesn't crack when you bend it over and stuff. This is my preferred stuff to use for card pockets if I'm doing a clear card pocket like this. Now, in a pinch, like when I was in Baghdad, I couldn't find anything to make this out of, so I'm not going to lie. I went to the shower and cut a little corner out of the bottom of the shower curtain, and I used it. And I've done that since. I've used shower curtains that I actually just bought at Walmart, like a nice high-quality plastic shower curtain. They're just a few bucks. Anyway, but those are good resources for this stuff, excuse me, as well. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to take the back of this and I'm going to double-sided tape it just around the inside of the window to stick this stuff to. Alright, and then I'm going to make sure that the top of the plastic is up there halfway between the top of the hole for the card and the top of the whole pocket, so that when I fold that over, it folds over that, like so. Okay? So, we're going to get our double-sided tape out, and I left it on the sewing machine yesterday. 1 second here. Alright, double-sided tape on my stickers. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and I'm going to put 4 pieces, one along each side of the window. Okay, now technically I really think that this tape will hold this forever, just like it does the Tyvek, okay, on the other wallets we make. But and we may do that today. If you don't want to do that, then you can, I'll tell you what, we are going to do that today. But if you don't want just that tape to hold it, then you can stitch a line just on the outside of your cutout, okay? But yeah, I have a lot of faith in this tape, and I'm going to use it. But I am going to stitch up the top of the pocket where the fold over is, okay? Because it needs it. It needs it for the look, it needs it for the structure. There we go. 4 very simple pieces of tape. I'll take the backings off of them. Now, I'm going to start by just squaring up. This is a very rough cut piece. I just kind of chopped a piece out of a giant roll of it that we have here at the shop. I'm going to square it up here just so I have something to lay up against that top, that folded over edge. Like that. Get all this other stuff out of the way here. Okay, I'm going to lay that down, lay this across it. I'm going to start at the top and just lay it down as I go down, trying to keep bubbles and wrinkles and stuff like that out of it. Okay, now I'm going to trim this piece down, the plastic here. Now that it's stuck, I'm going to trim it down to where it's just right at the tape. Okay? You can do it with a pair of scissors. You can do it with a sharp knife, but be careful if you're using a sharp knife not to cut your leather. Okay? But I'll show you what that looks like here. Go ahead and get excess out of the way. I'm going to take my scissors and kind of force them. Bend this back a little bit, get it started. I'm going to do it with the scissors here, but then I'm going to try something experimental after this one. I'm going to use a French edger, and I bet it works. There we go. There's no sticky. I don't want any sticky showing past that because I don't want my card to stick to it if it's out there in the open. Okay. I'm going to grab this is a number 4 French edger. Looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch wide. Yeah. I'm going to put it under there, and this thing's super sharp. Oh yeah, way easier than the scissors. It's just going to cut it right there at the tape. So, forget what I said about the scissors. If you have a French edger, honestly, even your edge bevelers for the edge of your leather would probably do this the same way. Okay, save you a little headache. So there it is. I just realized I need to make a real quick phone call. So I'm going to pause the camera while I do that because, yeah, y'all don't want to hear me call Janie and ask her silly questions. I'll be right back. Okay, back. Got the phone call made there. Now, I'm going to put one more piece of tape right along here so that when I fold it over, it holds it down. Then I'm going to fold it down nice and even. I'm going to use my roller tool to really flatten it out and make it good. Matter of fact, I may use a hammer. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to fold this down nice and even. Okay, we don't want to do it crooked because then the top of your pocket will look all womper-jawed. We don't like womper-jawed, we like professional. If you don't know the term womper-jawed, look in a Southern Dictionary. I'm sure it's there. Alright, so grab me a hammer real quick and kind of smooth that out. Buntas. Alright, so there she be, folks. I'm going to stitch along that top right there and making sure that my stitch line is far enough down that it'll grab all the layers. I need it to grab the front layer where it wraps around the back, and I need to make dang sure that that plastic is in there too. So I'm just going to kind of split the difference, and you know, I'm not going to do my normal like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'll do a thicker area than that. So let me find my pounding mat for my pricking irons, and we'll get on it. Okay. I'm not even going to tell you how much time passed. I had to go over there and get my pounding board, and then I had to go back over there and get the pricking iron I wanted to use. This is what happens when I drag tools home, and then I'm still working on the project at home, so I didn't bring the tool back. So anyway. Alright, so I got some wing dividers here, and I'm going to set them for, I don't know, 3/16 of an inch or so. And I'll draw me a little line on here. Then I'm going to use my 8 stitches per inch pricking iron here, and I'm going to make some holes. Okay. Just try to lay this as even with that line as I can. And this is what I was talking about. You can draw a little line on veg tan and bridle and leathers like that and harness, but when it comes to the exotics and stuff, you can't just draw one with the wing dividers or anything, and that's where the heated creasers come in real good and handy. Okay. Okay. I'm going to hand sew that. I'll need to change the cameras if we're going to watch it happen. And, yeah. So, I'm going to stop this one. I'll change cameras. We'll talk a little bit about hand sewing. But I really need to put together a video just on hand sewing so that I don't have to do it in the middle of all these videos. I can just tell people to revert to that video. Anyway. Alright. Sorry about that. I'm in the middle of selling a house and buying a house and all that entails. And had to make some special arrangements to have my gun safe moved. So it's not small. Alright, so what I'm doing here is just getting my thread ready, and we're using some new thread on this project. It's something new we're about to start carrying. We did put it in the mystery box this month, but it's a smaller thread than what we normally carry, and we're going to have it even smaller sizes. This is 0.65 millimeter. It is round, but it's really, really nice stuff. It's very lightly waxed. This looks like a small spool, but I ran an entire spool out, and it was like 320 something feet, so it's a good bit of thread. Okay, now hand sewing, I'll with it. When I did this wallet, I used it. Same size, just a different color. And honestly, it looks really good. I really like how it turned out. So I'm very happy with it, and that's why we're going to start carrying it. Again, we send a bunch of it out in this mystery box. All this color, this natural kind of color. But yeah. Alright, so here we are. The finished side of the leather, the front of the leather is over here. The back side of it's over here. And I've been experimenting with other methods of hand sewing besides how I've always done it, okay? I was always taught you go through the finished side first, then the back side. But I recently saw a video where a guy did it the exact opposite. He went through the back side first, okay? Like that. Then he went through the front side, okay? Then he made sure that the back needle went through the thread loop created by the front needle there, and then pulled tight. And what it does, it gives it that very nice, even, like, zigzaggy type appearance. And I think I like it. I think I like it a lot. So I'll still do my old way some, but I kind of like it. So that's it. We started with, this is one thread with two needles, one needle on each end of it. Started out with it, just going through the first hole and half of it on each side. And then we're going to stitch from one side to the other. When we get to the other side, we'll do a quick back stitch, and that'll be that. Okay? So here we are, and then I'll do a close-up of the stitch when I'm done. You can see it, see what you think of it. But it really is a nice stitch. It makes me happy. Alright, got that all stitched up. Those stitches are nice and pretty. So the other thing I'm going to do to it is I'm just going to use my hammer and tap them down. Tap the stitches down to where they're nice and embedded into the leather. So just a simple tappity tap tap. Okay? Alright. Now it's time to start building some card pockets. So we're going to switch back over to the other camera and get that done. Okay. Now I've said several times that I really wish that I could get our double-sided tape in a smaller size, like 1/8 of an inch. But 1/4 of an inch is as thin as I can get it, unfortunately. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a section of this tape. We're going to take our knife here, and I'm just going to split it down the middle. Okay, and I'm going to need 4 or 5 pieces of it. And what I'm doing is I'm going to tape the bottoms of those card pockets in before I sew them, and that's going to be a lot cleaner and less messy and less wait time than if I used the contact cement. Contact cement is more than fine for this job, but you've got to be very accurate with your placement. So it can be difficult, okay? So, this one is trash. I screwed that one up. There's the good one. Okay? So, got all our little card pockets here. Where are they at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. So how it'll be now, of course, is that what I really hate about this method is if there's not a card in that bottom pocket, then you can see the backing. You can see the card pocket underneath it, okay? And I don't like that, not even one little bitty bit. So, one thing I'm going to do to help with that issue is I'm going to use a darker thread on this card pocket right here. Okay, on the bottom of the first card pocket I'm putting in, I'll use a dark brown thread or something that more matches this leather than my contrasting thread that I'm using on everything else. On the other pockets, it doesn't matter. But on this one, I don't like that you can see that through the window. Like if the wallet was empty and sitting on a shelf in a store, that's what you would see, and I don't like it. Okay? So, I'm going to just cut into small sections that little piece of tape that I split. Alright, and then the hardest part of doing the T pockets or any kind of individual pockets for me has always been placing the pockets to where they're evenly spaced. So I took care of that on the template. I made it easier, and I just went ahead and pre-measured all that stuff so that we wouldn't have to have an issue with it. Because ordinarily, no joke, I would start with I would start and stack all the pockets and then mark the one I needed, then stack them all again, mark the next one, you know, and every single time I went to sew a new one on, I would restack and remark. Okay? Now, I'm going to start with the top card pocket because I have to sew in the bottom of it first. So here we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this on here, but I'm not going to push it down to the tape until I know that it's good and squared. Okay? I want to know that up here at the top it's even and not askew. Okay? Again, no more whomper jaw. You can do a lot of ways. You can use a ruler, would be my preferred method. This ruler's covered in glue, unfortunately, because I use spray glue with it, and so it's not going to work for me. I can't see through it. Grab another one here. All right. Giggity. All right, so now that's good and squared. So now I'll press it down against that tape. And now I need to hand sew that bottom line. Okay, and only that bottom line. That's the only one I need to sew right now. Then I'll put the next card pocket at the next line and do it again. Okay? I will say this, I have skipped that very, very top line because it puts this card pocket very, very high, and I'm just not 100% sure of it. So I'm going to skip it. I'm going to do 4 card pockets plus the clear pocket, and that will be fixed on future templates. Alright, so I just hit it once with my pricking iron there, and I'll do those few stitches. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to lay the next card pocket, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure the top of it's nice and parallel with that card pocket, and then I'll sew in the bottom. Same thing on the next one, and then that last one, like I said, that bottom one, I'm going to use a darker thread on it just to make sure that it works out well, and it doesn't stick out through the clear window. Okay, I don't want it to just glow at you through the clear window. All right, so there they are. They're all sewn in. See the stitching there at the bottom of each layer, all the way up. Okay, and again, I did 4 pockets, not all 5, because that 5th one would have been too high. I've got to make an adjustment. I apologize 1,000 times over for that. Please mark on your template not to use that 5th hole, or that 5th marking on here, okay? So we're only going to get 4 credit card pockets plus the clear window pocket on this one, okay? So, unfortunately, this is where I'm going to have to stop it today. Again, I'm in the middle of buying a house, selling a house, which means moving and all kinds of craziness, and I am needed elsewhere, but I will get this video posted so that folks can get started on this project. So, until next time, I'm Aaron Heiser of Maker's Leather Supply. Thanks for watching.